If you're picking your fantasy league for the 2021-2022 season, we're here to help. Today we're diving into a breakdown of the top 10 NBA fantasy players. But before we jump in, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new content. Now, let's get into it. Number 10, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Coming in at the top of our list is Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks. The two-time MVP and reigning world champion and finals MVP would be an easy first-round selection in fantasy drafts for even the freshest of faces to the game. But unless he can improve his awful free throw shooting, sub 70% last two seasons, he's an end-of-the-first type of guy. His elite scoring, rebounding, and assists are dragged down slightly by his three-point shooting, but massively by his shooting from the charity stripe. So if you need a solid power forward or center, Antetokounmpo is your guy. Number 9, Paul George. Paul Clifton Anthony George plays for the Los Angeles Clippers. Nicknamed PG-13, he is a 7-time NBA All-Star and a 6-time member of the All-NBA team, as well as a 4-time member of the NBA All-Defensive team. The Los Angeles Clippers are happy to have Paul George, aka Playoff P, who impressed in the postseason, leading the Clippers past the top-seeded Jazz without Kawhi Leonard. With Leonard expected to be out through at least the All-Star break, expect PG-13 to take on high usage rate and contribute significantly across most categories. He's a borderline top 5 player who's going in the early to mid-second round, making him quite a value. George is a top-notch player who plays well as a small forward, power forward, and shooting guard. Number 8, Kevin Durant. He's a heavy hitter on this list, but not necessarily an obvious choice. Durant missed the entire 2019-2020 season, but so far you couldn't tell based on his elite performance and his Nets debut. The Slim Reaper led Brooklyn to the playoffs with a 27-7-5 line that included 2.4 triples, 1.3 swats, and lights-out shooting. As long as he's healthy, it's safe to expect more of the same in 2021-2022. He's playing for the Nets as a small forward and a power forward. Number 7, Joel Embiid. On a per-game basis, Embiid is nearly unrivaled at center, though health and rest concerns have always got to be in the back of a fantasy manager's mind. Embiid has appeared in 51 games in back-to-back seasons, so you'll likely be without him for stretches of the season. He averaged career highs in points 28.5, steals 1.0, and shooting 51.3, 37.7, 85.9 on his way to runner-up for MVP behind Nikola Jokic. If Ben Simmons is moved, Embiid could see an increase in usage, so there's hope for an even more productive campaign. Still, not a bad fantasy player to have around. Currently, Embiid plays power forward and center for the Philadelphia 76ers. Number 6, KarlAnthony Towns. KarlAnthony Towns Jr. is a Dominican-American basketball player for the Minnesota Timberwolves in the center position. Also known by his initials KAT, he played college basketball for the Kentucky Wildcats. Towns was named to the Dominican Republic national team as a 16-year-old. Nowadays, Towns is a tough pick for this list, but he still comes in pretty high for obvious reasons. There's not a lot of reason to hate Towns. That being said, it's been a very rough couple of years for him. In the last 2 seasons, Towns has appeared in just 85 games. Towns has faced countless obstacles, and still, despite injuries and family tragedy, KAT still averaged at least 24, 10, and 4, with at least 2 triples and 1 steal in that span. As long as he's healthy, the big man is a strong contender for a top 5 pick, given his ability to score, rebound, shoot efficiently, and fire from beyond the arc. Number 5, James Harden. Otherwise known as the Beard, he is one of the NBA's most prolific scorers and has been called the best shooting guard in the NBA, as well as one of the top overall players in the league. Harden's move from Houston to Brooklyn may have been initially viewed as a downgrade for fantasy purposes, but the Beard thrived in his new locale, averaging a near triple-double thanks to 8.5 boards and 10.9 dimes. He's showing no signs of slowing either. The Nets player is playing point guard and shooting guard and is a master in the game. Despite likely playing more games alongside Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant this season, Harden should still be viewed as an elite first-round talent who will play the majority of his minutes at point guard. He's got a stable floor because of his stellar shooting and steals, and his ceiling remains sky-high. We'll just have to wait and see how he turns out this season, but there is no doubt he's a very solid player. Number 4, Damian Lillard. The Portland Trail Blazers are very lucky to have Damian Lillard. He may seem unexpectedly high on our list, but there is no doubt that he's had very strong recent seasons. It's hard to imagine, but Dame has been undervalued in fantasy hoops over the last few years. That should change in 2021 after another dominant performance last season. Over the last 6 seasons, Lillard has averaged 27.3 points, 7.0 dimes, 4.4 boards, 1.0 steal, and 3.4 triples while shooting 44.3, 38.2, and 90.8 splits and turning the ball over less than 3 times. He doesn't hurt you in any category except for blocks, and his elite production across the board should make him an easy top 3 selection this season in fantasy drafts. That is why we have him ranked so high. He is by far one of the best point guards around today, and while he's still got plenty of competition in that space, he certainly holds his own. Number 3. Luka Doncic. Doncic currently plays for the Dallas Mavericks, but he also represents the Slovenian national team. Born in Ljubljana, Doncic shined as a youth player for Union Olimpija before joining the youth academy of Real Madrid. Over the last couple of years, Luka has steadily become one of basketball's biggest stars, and for good reason. The point and shooting guard for the Dallas Mavericks has proven his ability on the court and will likely be a major force in fantasy leagues all over. In fact, it's likely that Doncic will open the season as an MVP favorite after what he's been able to accomplish in his brief NBA career. Over the last 2 seasons, Doncic has averaged 28.3 points, 8.7 dimes, and 8.7 boards, while posting some monster triple-doubles and signature games in the process. He carried Dallas on his back to a Game 7 showdown with the Clippers in the first round of the playoffs and led Slovenia to a quarterfinal appearance in the Olympics. His biggest knocks are turnovers and free throws, but slight improvements in those categories give him the number 1 upside. Number 2. Stephen Curry. Obviously, there's a very clear argument to be made to put Stephen Curry in our number 1 spot, so if you prefer him over Jokic, we can't fault you. Many analysts and players have called him the greatest shooter in NBA history. Still, we're here to make our case for his spot at number 2. It all goes back to last season. Curry led the league in scoring 32.0 points per game and made 3-pointers at 5.3 while racking up over 5 rebounds and assists per contest. Golden State gets a little help in the scoring department with the addition of Otto Porter, but I'm not counting on Klay Thompson playing anywhere close to 100% after being off for the better part of 2 seasons. Curry will have to put this team on his back yet again, so I would expect plenty of monstrous stat lines in 2021-2022. And it is clear that Curry is going to have no problems going into the next season. Fans are expecting big things for him, but we believe he's not quite on the level of our number 1 spot. In case you didn't already know, Curry plays as the point guard and shooting guard for the Golden State Warriors. Number 1. Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic is a Serbian professional basketball player for the Denver Nuggets, who plays the center position and power forward. The 3-time NBA All-Star has been named to the All-NBA team on 3 occasions and has won the NBA MVP award for the 2020-2021 NBA season. The Joker wasn't kidding around when he stepped on the court last season, averaging a monstrous 26-10-8 while nailing 1.3 triples and shooting 56.6% from the field. Most incredibly, he did all of this from the center position. The reigning MVP has a unique skill set as a point center that should place him atop the fantasy rankings for the 2021-2022 season. The only other player who could challenge him for this honor is Steph Curry, but Jokic's triple-double upside gives him the edge for me. Now, obviously, this list might be praised by some and raise a few eyebrows by others. That's why we want to hear from you. Let us know in the comments who you plan on snatching up in your fantasy league draft. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new content. This has been our breakdown of the top 10 NBA fantasy basketball players going into the 2021-2022 season.